to file an amended habeas petition asking for his release.
As you mentioned, his attorney spoke right after the hearing. Let's listen into some of what he had to say.
Mr. Khalil's detention has nothing to do with security. It is only about repression. The United States government has taken the position that it can arrest, detain, and seek to deport a lawful permanent resident exclusively because of his peaceful, constitutionally protected activism. In this case, activism in support of Palestinian human rights and an end to the genocide in Gaza. The government takes the position that because the Secretary of State finds his dissent unacceptable or contrary to U.S. foreign policy, he can be deported. As Ramzi suggested, it's largely unprecedented, save for ugly historical precedents, including the Red Scare and McCarthyism. That's what we're talking about.
Some pretty big statements there, Katrina.
We're still just getting started.
That news conference.
I mean, one thing that they talked about is how beyond just Mahmoud Khalil, this is an effort to silence protesters who are protesting the war in Israel and Gaza, and really from talking to legal sources.
Crystal Cat, welcome in.
Much wider chilling effect that this could have. But Liz, we also heard from Khalil's wife. They talked about how she is 8 months
I'm a single
pregnant.
cat dude from
becoming a father.
Appalachia.
Separated from her and from his child who is coming soon. In that statement, you also
We watched the sales pitch yesterday.
that Secretary of State is relying on, which is this very obscure provision of the Immigration and Nationality Act that has rarely been invoked and also rarely been litigated in court. But there is an interesting fact I learned about this, is that it was once found unconstitutional by President Trump's sister, the now deceased judge, Marianne Barry. That
Well,
was
now that is kind of fascinating.
by Judge Alito, who at the time was a circuit court judge, but it's just an interesting precedent in this case.
CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman live for us.
The picture is hilarious. I've got it right here. He looks like a big dumb goof. Big dumb goof. That's what he is. Big dumb goof. They did not play what I have right here, which is Mahmoud Khalil's pregnant wife, who spoke shortly after the hearing. Oh, fuck.
A statement on behalf of Mahmoud Khalil's wife, who does not wish to be named.
Oh, this is not his wife.
My husband was kidnapped
This is
from
her
our
statement.
home, and it's shameful that the United States government continues to hold him because he stood for the rights and lives of his people. I demand his immediate release and return to our family. His disappearance has devastated our lives. Every day without him is filled with uncertainty, not just for me, but for our entire family and community. Our loved ones are struggling with the pain and fear of his sudden absence. And yet, we are not alone. So many who know and love Mahmoud have come together, refusing to stay silent. Their support is a testament to his character and to the deep injustice of what is being done to him.
Mr.
And then that was the lawyer I skipped over was a lawyer we already heard from. This is the demonstrations.
Up, up with liberation. Down, down with deportation.
Avalon, good evening.
Up with liberation. Down, down with occupation. Free, free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. Move right now.
Billionaires are the real enemy, not immigrants. That person gets it. release Mahmoud right now.
Not knowing where your whereabouts are. It is nothing strange to expect your child decades when they are released from prison. It is the Israeli government and their cronies here in the U.S., from the Democrats and the Republicans. Are you afraid? No. Will you go home? Will you forget Mahmoud Khalil? No.
I don't think Trump cares, but there's still a
We just wanted to respond to the repressive tactics used.
still a semblance of a justice system.
Activist in Columbia University. He was really foundational to their movement. The community really relied on him. He was one of the lead negotiators during the Gaza Solidarity Encampment. He's been unlawfully arrested and basically held hostage.
Well, somebody's got to have hope. We can't all be cynics.
To retreat now is to abandon not just Mahmoud, but not just our fellow students, but all those suffering under oppression.
The message is very simple. We're not going to be intimidated. We're not going to let them strip us of our First Amendment rights, our Fifth Amendment rights, or our 14th Amendment rights.
His basic constitutional
If you don't have hope, you're a dope.
In a hellish Louisiana prison.
For over 18 months, we've been fighting and demanding that our university divest itself from the military-industrial complex that's caused the decimation of Gaza and left tens of thousands of people killed without food or water or their homes.
This is getting through. This is the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel doing this reporting that we're watching right now. We just watched a piece from CBS fucking News. This is penetrating the mainstream, amazingly enough.
It's destroyed, and we have been met with a kind of unprecedented form of punitive crackdown by the NYU.
It would be one thing if I was showing you a Democracy Now! Clip.
For the Trump administration.
That's usually the only kind of people to be talking about this. Battle Opossum, good evening. This is a protest for Mahmoud Khalil, who was abducted by the DHS.
ICE and DHS on its campus did not protect its students, so our students here, and we're here today also, to send a message to the administration that we will not allow this to happen.
Was harassed by Zionists and right-wing freaks.
Those injustices. Students deserve to be protected.
He was harassed, abandoned by the racist institution that was responsible.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
It's too early to say what effect this will have. It could either have a chilling effect whereby some people will be scared to be visible and active in the
I feel like it might have the opposite effect.
But there's also
instead of the chilling effect, we might get the Barbara Streisand effect on it.
A way in which this will mobilize even more people who are enraged by this crackdown and by this egregious attack on freedom of expression and academic freedom.
It's incredible cruelty, and I really feel like the Trump administration is testing us to see what we will tolerate. And if we don't make the effort to come out and say no, it will...
Oh shit, we've got DM here. I'm sorry, DM. Oh shit, how'd that happen? Everything's going wild tonight. I don't know, like my shit hasn't been working. Yeah, maybe I need to pay the phone bill. Call me again. He's got 2 questions for me. I wanna know what these 2 questions are. No, we found that out earlier. Clinically, he was here the first time I tried to stream. YouTube went down. My apologies, Tadpole. For some reason, it's not ringing. Caller, you're on the Troll Patrol.
Yo, Justin, long time no see. How you doing, man?
DM, my friend, how are you?
I'm doing well. So I got a couple questions for you. Actually, I got 3 questions for you. The last one's a loaded question, but I got 3 questions
Jumping
for you.
right into it, are you, my friend? You don't want any pleasantries? You want to catch up a little bit?
There's nothing really much to catch up on.
Okay, a lot has happened to me. You're not going to ask me how I'm doing? Wow.
How are you? Well, how are you doing? I'll ask you how are you doing?
I'm fine, DM. I'm fine. Go ahead. Pop off with your questions.
I'm doing good. I did have a relationship, by the way, since you were asking about that earlier.
I'm sad she moved away on you.
Yeah, it's a whole story. So
do you want some advice? Do you want to get anything off your chest? We're here to listen.
Probably not publicly. I'm going to try to keep it anonymous because I don't want to talk about somebody else on the internet.
Fair enough. I talk about everybody on the internet.
Yeah, I'm nice. So here are my 3 questions since the election. One question that I have for you is, why do you think Kamala Harris lost? That's my first question.
Ooh. I think she really depressed her base with not pivoting far enough from Biden. She really needed, in hindsight, because I was saying I thought she was doing the right thing at the time, but I was also had my doubts kind of deal. But in hindsight, I would say that not distancing herself enough from Biden played a very big role in it. I would say not taking a firm stance on a ceasefire in Gaza, even if she was just paying lip service to it. Because the people that were out knocking doors for Democrats, they're making phone calls, they care about Gaza. Also ignoring trans rights. The Democrats tried to run to the right, and it bit them in the ass again because nobody wants a Republican light. They want an actual alternative.
Okay. Second question. Going into 2028, I've been asking a lot of different Democrats this, so I thought I'd step in and ask you this too. Which of the candidates that have already been suggested to run, who do you think is the best candidate to win in 2028 as of now? Who would you pick? Who would be your first choice?
Oh, man, because, okay, clearly we got Gavin Newsom making moves, and you got Josh Shapiro over in Pennsylvania. Those are probably the 2 that have signaled the most that they're going to run. Do you agree with that, DM?
Well, I was going to ask about Jon Stewart.
Whoa, Jon Stewart.
Yeah, why not? Why not put an outsider in there? Somebody who's, outside of the political fields. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as someone who has been a fan of Jon Stewart, I will tell you that he has no interest in running for public office.
Okay. Because I've heard a lot of people talking about how the Democrats need to find their own version, their left-wing version of what Trump is. Someone like Bernie Sanders, someone who's very populist in the Democrat side. So that leads into my third question, and it's kind of a loaded question. I think...
Do you know what loaded question means?
Probably not. I'm stupid.
Oh, don't call yourself stupid. It's a question that contains a presupposition. If I asked you when was the last time you beat your wife, that implies that you beat your wife, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess this is not a loaded question, but it's a question you need to think about. If there's no good candidates that is running for president that you think would win, will you, JustinFREAKIN, run for president?
Oh, shit. I wasn't expecting that, DM, because your questions were interesting to me. So I wasn't expecting that one at the end. No. Much like John, I'm not the guy that's on the cover. I'm not the guy that's behind the camera. I'm not the guy that holds the microphone for the big crowds. I'm the guy behind the guy.
See, the thing is, I think right now the Democrat Party could make a massive comeback in 2028.
With JustinFREAKIN?
Well, I mean, if you wanted to, I think you could do it. But I think that Democrats need to step outside of the political establishment and bring somebody in that's a lot like Bernie Sanders in 2016. Because right now, the economy is not doing well. The wars have not been ended. Those are going to heavily affect.
Whoa. Okay. Let me ask you some questions, DM. Before we get into this further. What are your thoughts on the first a month and a half into the Trump administration? What are your thoughts? You were a supporter, right? You voted for him.
To be honest with you, I'm still waiting to see things get better. It seems like the economy has gotten worse, actually. So far, some of the promises have been made, some of them have not been, such as fixing the economy. The war in Ukraine has not been ended yet. In fact, it's still ongoing. There hasn't been any foreign military success so far, though we're only a couple months in. And I'm heavily concerned about the tariffs. That was something that William McKinley did in his presidency. And I don't consider William McKinley to be the greatest president in the world. So that's kind of a disappointing factor to me.
Good job, DM.
So I'll be keeping an eye on things. I do like some of the thought behind getting rid or scaling down some of the big government. I think to the degree that it's being done is a little excessive. But outside of that, I'm genuinely disappointed mostly with economics right now. I don't think that we're in any good place financially. I think to get to a better place financially, we need to adapt to some more, I would hate to say, but some more socialist policies. So such as paid family leave, higher minimum wage, free health care, some of these things, if we actually want to get everybody back to a place we were before.
DM, you're turning into a leftist, you know that, right?
Possibly.
You're turning commie. Oh my god. Okay.
I mean,
so are you worried about how, like, Trump has kind of flouted the Constitution here? He's kind of gone around because, like, Elon is not vetted by the Senate. All these things he's slashing have been appropriated by Congress through constitutional means. Elon coming in and slashing that, not really constitutional. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that it's being done way too fast, and I think so fast that there's probably going to be some economic turmoil that comes with it. Like, if this was something that was going through Congress and it was being slowly done in a more slow way so that America could gradually get used to it, it'd be a little bit of a different story. I could talk about it, but with how fast everything's going, it looks like I genuinely predict that there could be an economic recession within the upcoming summer. And that is just the tip of the iceberg right now. Now, will it get better after the recession? It's too early to call.
Okay, so now you know about farming up there. Like, that's a big industry where you're from, right? Okay, so you know about U.S. aid. It was basically like a subsidy to our farmers. They would, it was like $1.5 billion a year or something like that. The U.S. aid was paying out to farmers. I'm sure a lot of that came to your community that just got pulled back. What do you think about that?
I think it's concerning. I think that there are definitely things within some of these governments that we could. I think there is some spending that could be cut, but I don't think to the level that it has been cut is all necessary. Another thing that will also affect the farmers are the tariffs. I think that some of that stuff affected the farmers in the last administration.
Yes, because that's another one of those. You're up there on a border state, right? Both imports and exports important to your economy.
Yeah, right now the biggest thing is inflation. I want to see inflation go down. One question I also have is housing prices. Housing prices have not come down at all, and that's another big deal, because right now one of the big things about Trump's base and knowing Trump's base they were very big on feeling like they can't live a normal life. They can't buy a house. They can't afford anything. They can't afford to get married. They can't afford to live the American dream. One thing that Trump promised is bringing back the American dream. And so far, like I'm trying to comprehend, okay, well, now that you're in office, bring back the American dream. Show me like lower housing prices. Make the stuff that you said possible. And so far, I have seen prices go up. So I'm going to hold our president to account. If you're not going to keep your word on what you said, I'll vote in the other direction if the country's not in a good place come 4 years.
Thank you very much, DM. Now let me ask you another question. We were just doing the story of Mahmoud Khalil. Do you know about that?
I don't know about it.
Okay, he was a pro-Palestinian student. He's from Algeria, I think. His family is Palestinian, and he's married to an American citizen. He has a permanent legal status with a green card, and DHS abducted him in the middle of the night on Saturday. They said they're revoking his green card.